actually for selling prescription drugs without due care, opioids. And John was actually just at that pivotal moment when he was deciding what he was going to do with his life. And his father, as his father describes, he took a sharp left turn into two things: climbing lots of mountains by himself and radical Christianity.
What do you say to observers, listeners, people who read this news story and say, this man got what he deserved? He was told not to go to the island. They fired warning shots. What did he expect?
1,800 people and shows no signs of letting up.
Scientists have been comparing 4 different drugs that have the potential to help people with Ebola. People sick with the disease are randomly given one of these medications. More than 600 people have already taken the drugs, and Anthony Fauci at the National Institutes of Health says the study has now been expanded so it will involve 725 volunteers. Scientists have not seen a dramatic effect in these gravely ill patients so far, but by expanding the study, they might detect some benefit. The main focus in controlling the outbreak is to get sick people into treatment centers and to vaccinate people who may have been exposed. Richard Harris, NPR News.
Long-term mortgage rates were flat to slightly higher this week following the Federal Reserve's cut in its benchmark interest rate for the first time since the 2008 Great Recession. Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says the average 30-year fixed-rate loan was unchanged from last week at 3.75%, while the average rate for a 15-year fixed-rate mortgage ticked up to 3.2%. Stocks finished lower across the board on Wall Street for a second day in a row after President Trump slapped a new 10% tariff on Chinese imports. The Dow was down 1%. This is NPR.
On the next Fresh Air, comic, actor, and writer Wanda Sykes talks about being a comic during the Obama era and the Trump era. Sykes does a lot of political material, as well as comedy about being an African-American lesbian married to a white woman. Her Netflix comedy special, Not Normal, is nominated for 2 Emmys. Join us.
Fresh Air begins this evening at 6 o'clock on 91.3.
Katie Henriksen's Of Note reaches a finale tonight, and we ask her about her next adventures.
What's next? Well, a lot of things, and also the great unknown. With anyone who jumps off into a new adventure, there's the great unknown.
Katie Henriksen on 8 Years Here, and what she's doing for an encore after she leaves KUAF on today's Ozarks at Large. The evening edition of Ozarks at Large, tonight beginning at 7, 91.3.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from Progressive Insurance with the Name Your Price tool, offering a range of coverage and price options to choose from. Now that's Progressive. More at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. From the Melville Charitable Trust, driven by one goal, ending homelessness for good. Learn more online at melvilletrust.org and on Twitter at Melville Trust. And from listeners like you who donate to this NPR station. From NPR News, this is All Things Considered. I'm Audie Cornish.
And I'm Ari Shapiro. President Trump is threatening to add tariffs to almost everything the U.S. buys from China. He says the new tariffs will take effect a month from now.
We have another meeting in early September. I said that's fine. But in the meantime, until such time as there's a deal, we'll be taxing them.
The tariffs would raise prices on consumer items, which have been largely shielded from Trump's protectionist measures up until now. And that's adding to an uncertain business climate, which is already taking a toll on manufacturing, as NPR's Scott Horsley reports.
Manufacturing in the U.S. is still growing, but just barely. New numbers out today show production and hiring in factories slowed last month. Factory activity actually contracted in Wisconsin and Illinois.
It's not been real wonderful. It was very brisk this first quarter of the year, but I think generally we're seeing somewhat of a slowdown.
B.J. Parrott runs Milwaukee Metal Products, a family-owned company that's been in business for 111 years.
Started in 1908 by my grandfather. We are a fabricated metal company. We make primarily things for other manufacturing type customers.
Parrott's been watching the U.S.-China trade war closely. Earlier this year, when it looked as if the two countries might make a deal, she felt more optimistic. But now, she's not so sure.
As the trade deals have been falling apart, things have gotten a little bit less certain. And when there's less certainty, it's harder to predict what's going on.
That uncertainty was one of the factors the Federal Reserve cited this week in its decision to cut interest rates. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell says while the tariffs imposed by the Trump administration are not a huge cost on the economy by themselves, they do take a toll on business confidence.
Businesses will tell you that it's a factor, particularly manufacturing businesses that have supply chains that cross international borders. will all tell you that it's been a challenge. Many of them have made adjustments and they've gotten to a place where it's okay, but it's been a challenge.
Parrott, for example, saw a big increase last year in aluminum prices as a result.
Now I remember why I don't come here.
She says those costs have remained high even as the government has lifted taxes on some exporting countries like Canada.
I'll just go to fucking McDonald's.
Come down, so we're still paying significantly
This traffic's gonna suck.
than we were 2 years ago.
Parrott tries to pass those higher costs on to her customers, but as a result, she sometimes loses business to foreign competitors who don't have to pay the tariffs. The trade war is also affecting Parrott's customers. One of her company's signature products is a machine that crushes 55-gallon drums, so they take up less space in a landfill, for example. Parrott says some customers are reluctant to make a big investment like that in today's uncertain environment.
There's a lot of companies, especially if they have existing equipment, that are continuing to use their existing equipment rather than replacing it.
Yeah, that's right.
We just set everybody else back a couple of years, right? Oh, we should have killed Flavor Flav like 10 years ago. You know. He has been holding us back. But we did it. Now I can relax a little bit. I can dance on camera. I couldn't dance on camera before. When I was growing up, my mother, she wouldn't even let us dance in the car. You know, we sitting in the car, a good song come on the radio, my mother, like, she would stop the car. Do you want to dance or do you want to ride? Because you ain't dancing in my car. White people are looking at you. I'm like, huh? White people are looking at you. I'm like, oh, damn. She was right.
That's Wanda Sykes from her 2009 special. Did your mother tell you that white people are looking at you, so you got to be dignified?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, my parents, I don't know, another black person my age who didn't hear that. Yeah.
How different is it to be on stage when your job is truth-telling and everybody is looking at you? And comics aren't famous for being dignified per se. They're famous for being like comic truth-tellers, sometimes harsh comic truth-tellers. So it's like kind of the opposite in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe that's why I love doing stand-up. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's where I feel like I can be free. But then again, there is my mom's voice in the back of my head when I'm on stage, and I know there's a line. I do think about that.
So you were the first African-American woman to host the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which used to have a comic until a couple of years ago. And you were the first comic to be there at the White House Correspondents' Dinner during the first year of the first African-American president. And in one of your comedy specials, you talk about an hour before you went on stage to perform with President Obama and Michelle Obama in the audience. Your publicist or manager came to you with a note saying, please do not use the F word or the N word during your talk. Did the note come from the White House?
That's a good question. I don't know if it came from the White House or if it came from the correspondence.
So kind of,
Yeah. It came from the correspondence. I'm to this to say no more comics. I'm like, well, thank you. Now, you know, you're doing us a favor because really accepting that job and doing, and, you know, and going into that room as a comic, it's like hosting the Oscars, but without all the glam and the red carpet and the nice swag bag and all that stuff. You know, we're doing God's work.
So I want to play another clip, and this is from your 2009 HBO special, I'm Gonna Be Me, which sounds kind of funny coming from my mouth, doesn't it?
But you nailed it.
Oh,
I'm
thank
telling
you.
you, I was very impressed. I was like, oh, go ahead, Terry. You nailed that. I'm gonna be me.
So this is a clip about how it's getting harder to be black and a lesbian, and this is from 2009.
It's harder. It's harder being gay than it is being black. It is. There's some things that I had. There's some things that I had to do as gay that I didn't have to do as black. I didn't have to come out black. I didn't have to sit my parents down and tell them about my blackness. I didn't have to sit them down. Mom, Dad, I gotta tell y'all something. I hope you still love me. I'm just gonna say it. Mom, Dad, I'm black. Wait, what did she just say? Oh, Lord Jesus, she didn't say black, Lord. Did she say black? Mom, I'm black. Oh, Lord Jesus. Anything but black, Jesus. Give her cancer, Lord. Give her cancer. Anything but black, Lord.
That's hilarious. How did you think about that? I mean, how did you come up with that?
I guess it was the realization I had to have this conversation with my parents about being a lesbian, and I was like, wow, okay, this is kind of ridiculous, and it was very difficult, and you know, this is after we have Barack Obama as president, and I thought about it that I had more rights as African American than I did as being a gay American, because that night when he won, it was bittersweet. You know, I was so super excited and happy and proud of our country and in the direction we were going, and I'm living in California, so and at the same time Prop 8 passed. So
And Prop 8 says that the only marriage the state would recognize is a marriage between a man and a woman.
Exactly. So then that passed, and it's like, okay, so we move forward, but then they take away my rights to be married. So it felt like, wow, now I can't believe now it's actually harder to be gay than to be African American. And that joke was, for that time, especially now that we do have marriage equality, but there's still a lot of things that we need protection from, like jobs and housing. So it is still a fight out there. But I don't know. Like right now, no, I don't think it is harder today.
My guest is comic, actor, and writer Wanda Sykes. Her Netflix comedy special, Not Normal, is nominated for 2 Emmys. We'll talk more after a break. I'm Terry Gross, and this is Fresh Air.
institutions and established companies around the world, where innovation meets the law. And from the Pew Charitable Trusts, working to preserve wilderness, restore biodiversity, and increase understanding of ocean ecology. More information is available at pewtrusts.org.
Now open at the Scott Family Amazeum, Studio Grow. Designed for families of early learners 6 and younger, Studio Grow features activities for curious kids. Families can explore on their own or drop in for a weekly Partners in Playdate. Monthly themes explore science, technology, engineering, arts, and math through playful, hands-on discovery. Amazeum.org for information.
Little Wing Productions presents Nashville-based string band Old Crow Medicine Show at the Auditorium in Eureka Springs on Saturday, October 5th. Their old-time string sound, filled with rock energy, has contributed to the revival of banjo-picking string bands playing Americana music. Reserved tickets go on sale this Friday, August 2nd at 10 a.m. Call 888-695-0888 or go online to theauditorium.org.
This is Fresh Air. I'm Terry Gross. Let's get back to my interview with comic, actor, and writer Wanda Sykes. Her Netflix comedy special, Not Normal, is nominated for 2 Emmys. She's been doing comedy about President Trump and about being an African American and a lesbian married to a French woman. They have 2 children. You actually came out during an anti-Prop 8 rally, right? You came out publicly.
Right.
How did you choose
And I was
that
in Vegas.
as the opportunity to do it?
Well, I didn't even know that I was going to do it. It wasn't planned at all. I was in Vegas performing at, I think, Planet Hollywood. I had a show that night. And there was the Nashville Day of Protest. And the LGBT Center in Vegas, they were holding a rally. So it's like, hey, let's go out and support and protest. So I get there, and it's a large crowd, and the head of the center, she's speaking, and she said, we have someone out here who's an ally, and she's a strong voice for the community, and we're just going to put her on the spot and see if she will come up and say a few words. Now, I'm looking around in the audience thinking, is Drew Barrymore here? Or is Pink here? What's going on? I'm looking around for the ally, and then she said Wanda Sykes. I'm like, oh no, I'm part of the family. I'm not the ally. Okay, so I go up, and it just happened, and I made the speech, and then when we started the march, my friends were there, and they were like, you just came out. I was like, huh? And they were like, yeah. I was like, oh, I guess I did. My wife was there, and we went on with the march. And then when I got home back to the hotel room, I should say, when I got back to the hotel room, I'm looking at CNN, and now I'm on the crawl. And I was like, oh boy, okay. I guess I did.
What did you say that was the official coming out?
I said I'm proud to be Black, a woman, and gay.
So once The Crow hit CNN, what happened next in your life?
A lot of text messages. My publicist called and said congratulations, and she was proud of me, and she said that was the perfect way to do it. What else? Yeah, a lot of very supportive phone calls. And it took my parents a while to jump on board.
Is that how they found out, or did you already tell them?
No, I had already had the conversation with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember my mother specifically asking me not to do that, not to be public, while she was, still alive.
Well, how do you handle that? Because your life is yours, and there's a fight to be fought, and you wanted to be part of it, but I'm sure you also wanted to respect your mother. So what do you honor? Do you honor, like, the LGBTQ movement? Do you honor your own sexuality? Do you honor your wife? Or do you suppress all that for a while your mother's still alive and honor your mother?
I mean, it was hard, and you know, deep down, I look at it as I am honoring my mother because I'm a product of my parents, and my parents instilled these values and this strength in me, and so for me to deny who I am and to be silent, then I think that would be dishonoring them because that's not the person that they, you know, made me to be. So I had that conversation with them from that angle, and eventually they got it, and now, you know, we are so close, and everything is great. They're amazing grandparents, and you know, I think now their concern is more for my safety than anything else.
I'm really glad to hear that things are good between you.
Thank you.
Do you think your mother was more surprised than she might have been because in the 90s, you were married to a man for several years?
I think so. Yeah, I can see how that could be misleading. The old bait and switch. I can see that.
Did religion figure into her response when she didn't want you to come out publicly, and when she was really upset that you were gay?
Religion is it's you know, grounded in everything that they do. So, absolutely, yeah.
Did you go to church a lot when you were young?
Yes. When I was young, when, you know, teenage years, there was one point when we had just moved, and I found the church before they did, and so I was, you know, so I got them to go back to church, and I still go to church, not that often, but there's a church that I love in Los Angeles, and so when I'm in LA, and I try to make it there, you know, I read the Bible and more so spiritual writings and stuff like that. So yeah, I lead with love. That doesn't mean I'm gonna vote for Marianne Williamson, but she makes some great points. Although she did say she was gonna write a check, so I don't know. That check sounds pretty good. The reparations check, I don't know.
Well, let's take a short break here and then we'll talk some more. If you're just joining us, my guest is comic and actor and writer Wanda Sykes, and her latest variety special, Wanda Sykes Not Normal, is nominated for 2 Emmys for Outstanding Variety Series and Outstanding Writing for a Variety Series. We'll be right back. This is Fresh Air.
Support for KUAF comes from contributing listeners and from KUAF's sustaining members. Monthly sustainers of KUAF form a strong foundation, providing reliable and steady support for the programs, salaries, technology, and more that's needed to make this public radio station strong. Thank you to the more than 1,200 sustaining members of 91.3. We appreciate your support.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from Scribner, publisher of Ask Again, Yes, Mary Beth Keane's novel about 2 families linked by fate, forgiveness, and abiding love. Available in bookstores and online. And from Westin Hotels and Resorts, offering a range of wellness options for guests, including their Eat Well menu, on-demand fitness gear lending program, and signature Heavenly Bed. Learn more at westin.com, a member of Marriott Bonvoy.
This is Fresh Air, and if you're just joining us, my guest is comic, actor, and writer Wanda Sykes, and her latest variety special on Netflix, which is called Wanda Sykes Not Normal, is nominated for 2 Emmys. So your wife is French, she's white, you have 2 children who are white, and you joke about how you're living in a house with white people and you're a minority in your own home. So that's very funny. But I'm sure there's some truth to that, too. Is it unusual for you to be in your own home and be like the racial minority in your own family?
It is. It is. It feels weird when I think about it. But now, when it's just the, you know, just the four of us, then, you know, I don't think I think of it then, but it's like when her, you know, like her family is there, or, you know, we have a bunch of friends over. I do kind of look around and I go, man, there's a lot of white people at my house right now. Wow. And it's not like I don't like it or it makes me uncomfortable. It's just I noticed it, you know, and it's like, wow, okay. And sometimes I'll call a friend like, hey, man, what you doing? You want to come over? And he goes, what, you got too many white people in your house? I'm like, yep.
Had you considered motherhood when you were in a heterosexual marriage? And when you imagined the possibility of motherhood, if you imagined it, did you imagine it differently in a straight marriage than you did when you were in, as you are now, in a lesbian marriage? Because now you're the mother of 2 children.
Before, no, I didn't want kids. I had no vision of having kids at all. I remember when I was little, I said, I pictured myself with kids, but there was never a man around. It was, I don't know if maybe he died in my mind or something. I don't know. But I did see myself with kids, but there was never a, you know, a dad around. That was when I was little. Now, then when I was older, I was like, oh God, no kids. I don't want kids. And when I met my wife, that was her thing. Look, I'm right up front. I want kids. And I was like, well, can you give me like 6 months to think about it, and let's just continue dating, and then we'll see. And if I know it's not for me, then, you know, then we'll just call this quits and you go on and find somebody who wants to have kids. So she agreed. So, but after that 6 months, even before then, I quickly was like, you know, why wouldn't you want kids? Why wouldn't you want to start a family with this person? And the best decision I've ever made.
What do you love about being a mother?
I guess it takes you out of yourself, you know. Just to be able to just love something so much and just want to be there and take care of them and not worry about yourself. It's just good to know that I have that capability. You know, it's like, oh, I can do this. Oh, I thought I was so self-absorbed, but this is, wow, look at me parenting and being caring about something else, you know, other than myself. Yeah, it's just beautiful. I'm just learning a lot about myself. So I guess that is kind of like about me again. Damn it! I thought I heard this.
So your wife gave birth to twins, and you joke in your latest comedy special about how people are always asking you, because your 2 children are white, how come you didn't choose an African American donor so that the children would be biracial and would reflect both of you instead of the donor being white. So you joke about that in the special, but you must have had pretty serious conversations about that.
We didn't have that many conversations about it. I was good with it. I was like, look, you're doing all the heavy lifting. You're getting the shots. You're going through the process. You're gonna carry them. You're delivering them. Of course, you want the kids to look like you. Why not? You earned it. Go for it. And also, I was like, why? You know, why did the kids need to look biracial to mirror us? Like I said, we're 2 women. We can't make a baby. And so their skin color to me wasn't like, you know, something that I needed to feel like they're my kids. That, you know, they are my kids, and they identify us as the French mom and the English mom.
Were you surprised you had twins?
No, we put 2 back. We put 2 eggs back. And
Oh,
yeah.
I'm thinking maybe one of them wouldn't take.
Right. And she wanted to put 3 back, and I was like, look, I'm gonna tell you right now, if all 3 take, we leaving one at the hospital. That's the deal. So she said, all right, you know, and also the doctor advised not to put 3 back, so we just did 2.
Right, okay. So something else that you joke about in your comedy special is having a double mastectomy. And not the most hilarious subject, but, you know, you get some good material out of it nevertheless. But the irony is that you found out about the cancer when you were getting breast reduction surgery. So what's the connection?
Do you mean, like, why did I
How do they discover it during breast reduction?
Through the pathology, the pathology of the tissue that they removed from the breast reduction.
Oh, so they
found cancerous tissue in the
So they just routinely do a pathology when they do the breast reduction.
Right.
And what they found was ductal carcinoma in situ, which is sometimes referred to as stage 0 breast cancer. And I don't think it's typical to have a double mastectomy after that. But you decided you really wanted to do it. If you don't mind, can you tell us how you felt that through?
Well, here's the thing. It wasn't like they found a lump and was able to, you know, isolate it and remove it. This was after, like I said, after a reduction. So they couldn't really identify where it came from.
Oh,
you know, they could just say, oh, it was the right one. You know, and yeah. And also I have a incredibly strong history of cancer on my mom's side. You know, we've lost, I mean, you know, I've lost, you know, aunts and to breast cancer, ovarian cancer, my uncles, all the boys on her side, they've had prostate cancer. I mean, there's something, and I just was not taking any chances because they wanted to put me on tamoxifen, I believe it's called, and I would have to like just stay on that, and it what I'm saying, it like talk about mood swings. So that's not good for being a stand-up comic to, you know, be on stage and all of a sudden you have a breakdown. You know, menopause is doing that enough for me right now. But I was like, I don't want to just be on some drug and still having to get checked over and over again. To me, it's like just waiting for the shoe to drop. So I wanted to do the most, and I just had, you know, we just had kids. The kids were, you know, maybe 2. So I was like, look, I just want to get this taken care of. And my doctors, they also advised the same thing. They was like, this would be the best option as far as not having to, you know, worry about it as much. I mean, I still have to go get checked. But, yeah, and I was, you know, it was tough, but I feel great, and I got some perky boobs. Got some perky boobs out of it.
You probably had to decide, what size do I want?
Yeah, you know, I started to go small, and I said, you know what, screw you, cancer. I'm going to go even bigger than when I started.
Well, let's take a short break here, and then we'll be right back. If you're just joining us, my guest is comic and actor Wanda Sykes. Her latest comedy special, which is called Wanda Sykes